How's it going, guys? Over the last 7 or so months, I've had Paddy Melon. 2 Paddy Melons. Not the melon, the marsupial. If you got up to this part of the video, which I'm going to make it about the first 15 seconds, can you just hit that subscribe button down? We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers if we haven't already. Please. And share it. Send it to a friend who has an old car and thinking about doing a trip around Australia, because they might appreciate this info. Over the last 7 months, I've had quite a few, actually, surprisingly more than I thought I would ever get. Usually Instagram messages about my car. I think we kind of fit into we don't have a Toyota, we don't have a Troopy, we couldn't afford that before we left. So we've got an older style car that I guess a lot of people can only afford. And our idea was that it will get us around Australia. And obviously a lot of other people have had that idea as well, or they are wondering. So I guess I'm here today to tell you that, I mean, we haven't made it fully around Australia yet, but we've made it this far and we've done the hardest tracks probably going to do. So we're just going to do a bit of a rundown of what our car setup, ignoring the canopy for today, what we've got on this car to make it reliable enough to go around Australia. So you don't need a Toyota.
But if Toyota wants us to give us a Toyota, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'd like a Toyota, but you don't need a Toyota. Alright, so we'll just start with the front here. If you want to come around here, Megan, and just show them what we've got. So this is just not an ARB, that's just a sticker. It's WA Bull Bars. I actually got it second hand. I bought it off Marketplace. It was like rusted and it looked pretty shit. So I got it stripped back and powder coated, and now it looks a bit better. Before this I had the alloy one, just upgraded just because of the strength. Under here, if you look right under there, that's I think it's an Ironman 4x4 bash plate. Again, Marketplace, pretty cheap. I just had my eye out, got it, took the other shitty one off and put this one on. So it's just a bit of insurance, a bit of if we ever hit anything or anything goes under there, the car's protected. So it doesn't go the full way, it goes about halfway down the car, so it protects the main things. Narva spotties, we work closely with Narva, and these are awesome. These are the brightest spotties I've had ever on any car. They're awesome. Just got the old GME 2-way. It's really fallen apart. There's a bit of tape here.
How many times we've lost it?
We've lost this little bit a few times when on the rough roads, but look, does the job. Haven't needed anything fancy. We didn't need one of those big thick antennas or a stubby one or anything. This has suited us to a T. Yeah, already had the 2-way before we left to go in Australia, so nice and basic. Our batteries, we've got, let me just quickly read this one for you. It's a 820 CCA, 90 amp hour, 170 RC, so anyone who understands batteries might know what that means. But we went to Challenge Batteries in Osborne Park in Perth. They gave me a discount. They knew exactly what I needed, and it hasn't skipped a beat. This battery's been so good in the snow, in everything, in the heat. We haven't had to look at it once really. So that was our first battery. I have a little AGM battery here that just runs a few charging things. It wasn't really designed for this trip. It was more for like the water pump and stuff on the car for when the canopy's not on, but it's just a little backup for us. Down here is just a few 12-volt stuff. We've just got our relays things. That's all spotlights, water pumps, the little light bar, the shitty little light bar that's on the front. And then up here we've got our diff breathers. I end up only using the rear diff and the front diff box. I didn't end up doing before we left, but if you ever do them, I'd highly recommend spending the time to do all 4, especially if you're going through water. Everything else in here is very basic. Oh, there's a fan.
Red dirt.
Yeah, there's red dirt on everything. You'll notice the car's quite dirty. We're going to clean it in a couple of weeks, but it just gets dirty again and again and again, so we just don't bother cleaning it every week. Around here we've got Safari Snorkel. Was like a game changer for us on the Gib. There was so many water crossings and it just gave us so much more confidence to go through them. So that was a really important one. I trust most people would get them, but I would, if you're thinking about it, just do it. Tyres, we've got the Cooper Discoverer all-terrains, 265 75 R16s on steel rims. So I've had these for a long time, this actual set, and didn't need to upgrade before we left on our trip around Australia, but I think they've probably got about 8,000 Ks left in them according to the tyre guys. So they've done the Gib, they've done Udnadada, they've done all the top end. They haven't skipped a beat. We had a little puncture, but that was in Hobart in the city, and not that long ago. So yeah, they've done all the rough tracks, haven't skipped a beat, and there's a few little slits in them and lots of marks, obviously because they're getting old, but they are awesome. So highly recommend Coopers. We'll probably go with them again, just because of how durable they are. Yeah, it's an old car, like I said. It's actually got, at the moment, we're about 7 months in. It's got 232,424 kilometers on the clock right now, which I guess before we left on the trip, I was quite apprehensive of leaving with a car over 200 Ks, 200,000 Ks. So, but it's been fine. We've had to do a few things since we left, such as the wheel bearings, which we knew we would need to do, the clutch, which we were, I guess, a bit surprised we had to do at that stage, and that's pretty much it. We've just serviced it regularly at every 10,000 Ks, changed the diesel filter more than we had to do just because we were doing a lot of random service station stops up north. So it's got quite a few Ks on it, and we're probably going to add another, I don't know, 20 or 30. So 1,000. In here, we've got the quad lock. I've used that every single day without fail. Put my phone on the quad lock. I think it's so good. I had tire pressure monitor things on there probably for like the first few weeks of our trip, and they just, I don't know, they bend these things out, and you can see where it rubbed on the rim. So it's just with, like, as the tire spins, everything like goes outwards. So I took them off and just never needed them, so probably something you don't need in the future. There's the two-way, real basics, falling apart. On this one, I just put a phone magnet thing there and a bit of metal stuff there, sticks there, that's it there. We've got this, so around the back, a little reverse camera. Obviously I can't see out of when we were driving, so I got a Gator reverse camera, also a dash cam, which I'll show you now. So that's the front, that's the dash cam, but it's set up to always show the rear. So it always shows the rear. Obviously it's just bushes at the moment, but you can move it up and down, so you can see pretty much down to the ground, and it's quite good. It's really good at night, and it's got good color, good brightness, and just records all the time. So it feels like a rear vision mirror at the moment. The other things we've got around here is, I've got these little lights. I've had these on forever. They're just reverse lights. These reverse lights suck. I've just wired these straight up to the reverse wires, and they run awesome. We've done this in other videos, but our water tank, 70 liters roughly, little pump there, that's wired up to one of the batteries I showed you in the engine bay, and it's got a switch. Again, just an eBay pump. Super simple, super cheap. So the fuel tank we've got is about 120 litres, no, it is 120 litres, and it probably gets us, it all depends on the wind, it depends on how heavy we are, depends on the steepness, how many hills we've got or bendy roads. It all changes quite a lot, but we get around 800, 900 Ks to the tank, so it's pretty fuel efficient for how heavy we are. We've just got the real basic Rhino rack. I think these are like the Whisper bars or something. Again, secondhand, they just latch on. Obviously these cars don't have the gutters for things to be mounted in, so we've just got this. And then up here we just had one spare tyre, and prior to the Gib River Road we had the other spare tyre underneath, but we've got rid of one because we don't need it where we are now. Suspension has been probably one of the issues, kind of been on our minds throughout this trip. We've got quite a heavy constant load. We're not over the GVM, but just because there's a fair bit on the back, the rear springs, and I think also because we both sleep up on there for a good, 10 hours, we're up there every day, the rear springs have just started to slightly bend. They're not as leaf looking anymore, so we're actually going to get that checked out in the next few weeks. So I'll do that, talk about that in a later video when we do another car video. But the suspension, we've got West Coast Shockies and the Ride Pro suspension, so we're just kind of still sorting that out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, yeah, if you've got an older car or you can't afford a brand new Troopy 79 Land Cruiser, whatever, and a older BT50 Ranger or whatever, something like that that's in your budget, hopefully this helped. We're living proof that you don't have to have the best car driver in Australia. Most things we've got on this car are bought from Marketplace or are quite a few years old. And please subscribe. Thanks for watching.